Okay, so today we'll be looking at responsive design. So that's what we'll be doing today. And before we start, what's responsive design? We're in intermediate level, so we should have an idea of what responsive design is all about. So is there anybody here that is there anybody here that would just want to tell me what you understand by responsive design?
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Susu.
Yeah, a responsive design is a design that can be adaptive to different devices.
Okay. Yeah.
Whether it is viewed on
Okay, so
tablet, phone, and desktop. Yeah, that's what it means.
Okay, so you're all correct. So for today, what we'll be focusing on, we'll be focusing on designing for mobile devices and the website. We'll also get to understand, consider the unique sense constraints when it comes to mobile designs, and we'll get to also learn the techniques for adapting user-friendly design. So now, what is responsive design? You've already said it. Responsive design is just the process of designing a mobile friendly website that would adapt depending on the visitor's device. So let's say for instance you've been tasked to design something and you have visitors that you can't even monitor the kind of screens that they will come in with. You can't tell that this particular visitor is going to use a laptop to visit the website or is going to use a tablet to visit it. You just need to ensure that you put it in mind. Now, the funny thing about it is sometimes most designers don't even know how to arrange some of your designs. They don't even know how to use breakpoints and all of that to ensure that it's responsive. So it's your duty as a designer to always try to make your designs responsive. Now, in development, they tell you that the developers they use CSS media query to always set breakpoints for each screens, so that if you're as a user, if you're using a particular screen that is not within that constraint, it's going to fit to your own screen. Now, there are some things you get to consider when you're trying to do all of these things. There's some things you need to consider. You need to consider the column layout, typography, size, image size, and the content that you need to reveal and the ones you need to hide. Although one thing you need to note is the functionality of your website should be the same. The only thing that should be different is the structure and the content that you use for your design. So why do you design a mobile friendly responsive design? It's very crucial for you as a UI designer, because it's going to speed up the whole development process, and it's going to make your users enjoy they are going to enjoy using your website. Now we'll get to look at why responsive web design, why is it important? It's actually very important because if you want your device, for instance, if you want your website to rank, it's going to help your website rank, because laptop nobody carries laptop up and down. Our laptops are meant for the house. It's meant for our offices and all of that. You would not see me carry laptop and I'm moving the whole of Lagos. So there are some websites that you easily see that your phone can just come in to help you. So if you want your website to rank, it's going to actually help you. It's also going to make your user experience very sweet, because imagine I'll be able to feel your laptop from I'll be able to feel your designs from just using my phone or any device that I'm in. So that's one reason why you should always put responsive design in your mind. So there's a particular um statistics that came out that said that, and this was according to Google, that 94% of people normally search for local for information on their smartphones. And sometimes this out of this 94%, 74% of these people use mobiles either at home or at work. So even when your laptop is present, from the research, they say that most people use their devices, their mobile phones. So I have my laptop in my house, but I won't just open my laptop because I want to go through Google website, or I want to go through a link that is shared on a WhatsApp platform. So you can see how these statistics work. That's actually the truth, because even if you have laptop, initially I was saying you don't carry your laptop everywhere. There's some people that their laptops are, it's always with them, they take it anywhere they want to go to. But there are some websites, there are things that you just don't open your laptop to do, to browse a website and all of that, except you're trying to fill in a form and you would want a bigger screen for you to be able to fill in that form. So basically, we all use our websites for our phones for almost everything we do. Now, so the next thing we'll be looking at is the different approach to responsive design. Once you want to start designing responsive design, you need to consider these things. The first one is breakpoints, and the second one is the content that you're using, the visual content. Now, if you want to start talking about breakpoints, you would have, for designers, you need to put three things in your mind when trying to design responsive design. You have three viewports, and these three viewports are your smartphone slash mobile, then you have your tablets, then you have your desktop. For for a website to be fully responsive, you should consider both portrait and landscape. So sometimes we just follow portrait and we neglect landscape when we are trying to consider different things for responsive design. Now there are a total of five breakpoints that you'd always consider when you're designing. You have the smartphone mobile portraits, you have the smartphone mobile landscape, you have the tablet portraits, tablet landscape, and you just have the desktop. Now, the reason why you do mobile portraits and landscape is because sometimes we can decide to do to swap to turn our phones. So if you're using Android, you can decide to turn your phone to landscape, or especially when you're reading on a blog site, because you strain your eyes mostly when you're reading with. Okay. So you'd get to strain your eyes when reading, let's say, content. So some people prefer that their phone is landscape when they are trying to read. So once I turn my phone to be landscape, would that design still be responsive, or it's not going to be responsive? So these are the five breakpoints you always need to think about when you're trying to design something. So now let's focus on the breakpoints first of all. What are breakpoints? What do you think is a breakpoint? You can type on the chat or you can unmute. Nobody has the answer or an idea. I'm not asking for the answer, but an idea of what breakpoint is. Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Okay, the breakpoint in responsive design is the point at which website content and design we adapt to a certain way to provide a best possible user-friendly experience.
Browser stack. Okay, any other person? Okay, so Susu has already said it. A breakpoint is that point in which your website content will get to adjust to a certain way to provide the best user experience for you. So when you adjust your website to a particular place, how it's going to look like. If, for instance, you're trying to reduce a website to a smaller version. So the breakpoint is that point that um once it gets to that breakpoint, it will just adapt to a particular size, and that's what a breakpoint is all about. Now, uh, for designers, your breakpoint is that junction, or is that place where once you change once there's a change, how your website or your mobile app would actually adapt, or how it's going to take. That's what a breakpoint is all about. Now, the different types of breakpoints: we have desktop large screens, we have small screens, we have mobile screens, we have extra large, and we also have the mobile screens. Now, for different sizes of screen is not something I need to now start talking about in class. On Canva, on Figma, you would always see it. Once you get to Figma, you get to see the different breakpoints, the different screen size. You know that the biggest or the highest is 1020, 1920 by 1080. But I think the best one, or the my favorite screen is oh, my favorite screen is around 144. Yeah, it's 1440. So that screen, I feel like it's like the best for me when it comes to designing. So now, what is a mobile breakpoint? A mobile breakpoint is that point where your website will adapt its layout to ensure that the user experience is great. Okay, so now that we are is there any question before we move on?
Yes, ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Now, when you were talking about like the views, you did talk about the watch. I think the eye watches. People do design for watches also. You didn't talk about that one.
Yeah,
Is that one?
people do designs for watches, but when you're doing design for watches, you're not thinking of the different screens that you would use. How will I put it? So it's just like, so you know that the three main viewpoints that we talk about is website, mobile app, and this. You can't use a phone screen to view. You can't use a watch screen to view on your phone. You get. So those ones are like not part of a responsive design. When you talk about responsive, mostly what you even need to be responsive is your website, because you would want your website, when you're viewing your website on a mobile app, you should actually maintain the same thing, and then when you're viewing it on a tablet, you should still maintain the same website that you have. Because I know very well that most of you visited websites that mere looking at the website, or mere logging in with your phone, it's scattered. I know website like that, especially SaaS websites. If you go to any known SaaS website now and check their and use their laptop, use your phone to log in, you get to realize that most of them they are not mobile responsive. So let's try something. Somebody should just visit any SaaS website, any SaaS website, like any SaaS website. Okay, so Susu, you dropped something. Do you care using the do you care putting on your mic to explain what you mean by for Apple Watch? You can browse for websites too.
Okay, what I mean is like you can actually go to some websites with Apple Watch. Maybe you're looking for any website at all. Like there's actually they have in Apple Watch, you have Chrome, you have other apps
Yeah,
on
I know.
Apple Watch. Yes, so I believe so you can actually like click on the Chrome and actually go on some website to even check for anything. Maybe you want to check for the meaning of something, you can actually get it there. So I don't know, when you said it's not part of the responsive website, I was just wondering.
Yeah, so the reason why I said it's not part of the responsive website, but let's be realistic. How many persons use the Apple Watch to go and check? And okay, we can just decide to open Figma now and say, let's open Figma and say you're designing a website. Now, the things that you can really check on Apple websites or with Apple Watches, if you check, they are mostly text content. So if we are being realistic here, nobody will tell you to design a website and design the Apple Watch version of it. But notwithstanding, yeah, I know that it will take, you would have to reduce the sizes extremely, and you know how large, how long the work you get to do for Apple website or reducing your website to Apple Watch it's a whole lot. But with breakpoints, you can also achieve that though. I said SaaS website, any SaaS website, like any SaaS website. Or do I have anyone? Fiverr is Fiverr a SaaS website? Fiverr is actually mobile responsive. Let me check for one for us. So I just dropped one on the chat. You can check it. All right, guys. Quickly, let's just check for this and tell me what you notice about the website. Okay, so here is the full site. Please, what device did you use? Yusuf, can you just tell us the device you use? Susu, what device did you use?
I use a mobile device.
Like, I mean, what model? Because I'm trying to check something
Okay,
here.
an iPhone.
Oh, no wonder. Okay. Yeah, when you're using an Android phone, you have to swipe to the left. You have to do all of those things. But if you're using an iPhone, it's actually responsive. Okay, so we are going to look at I'm trying to actually um understand what Saka you mean by it's responsive on PC. Like I'm trying to understand. So can you just tell us what you mean by it's responsive on PC? Oh, okay. It's responsive on Chrome. All right, so let's okay, you have a question, Victory.
I want to ask, when we are talking about responsiveness, I mean, is the responsiveness not like in relation to like mobile devices? Because me, I feel like if you are doing any web design, like it should appear properly on your desktop or PC or your desktop, sure. But then I feel like the
Yeah.
responsiveness is now when you're moving towards tablets and phones. Is that it, ma?
Yes, so that's it. So that's why I'm also trying to ask what he meant by responsive on PC. So nobody will tell you if you design for a what's it called? If you designed for a mobile app, or let's say you design for a mobile app, no, they will not tell you to design um, a responsive mobile app on website. Okay. Although we have how would I put it? WhatsApp has its own desktop version of WhatsApp and all of that. But when we talk about responsiveness, the first thing that comes to your mind, or the first thing you should put in your mind is when I design a website, it should be responsive both on tablets and phones, because that's the thing. For phones, most times our mobile apps. They have the standard. Mobile app has the standard they follow. But when you talk about websites, it's only in websites that if you put your image on the right and you put your text on the left, if you're trying to make sure that that thing displays on a laptop, you can't follow that arrangement. You'd have to use a different arrangement for it. You have to ensure that everything fall in place step by step. So I call it the step by step design way in mobile, to make it responsive. So everything will just be taking the next step till you get to the last version of it. And why it's a very important topic is that sometimes most of us don't even know how to design something that is responsive. That's just the truth. I used to have issues when it comes to designing footer. How many persons have tried to design a responsive design and you go to the footer part and you're confused on how to make your footer responsive, especially footer. When you get to footer, if you have something like a mobile, let's say you have Apple logo and all of those plenty things, you know that for footer you might have 5 different sections. And these 5 different sections, if you now want to make it step by step, it will look somehow. So for you to be able to arrange and all of that. So if you don't know, you used Webflow. Oh, okay. All right, so let's move on now. So for the best practice for responsive design, first you need to ensure that everything is flexible. So that's where auto layouts come in place in most of our designs we do. With auto layout, you'll be able to set breakpoints, you'll be able to set all of those things. You'll be able to set, okay, this should not hold content, this should be fixed width, this should be this should be that. And when you set all of this, if you make all of these things flexible, it's actually going to make it very easy for your designs to be responsive. Then you need to modify all of your images, especially for if you're designing for website and you get to the mobile part of it, you can resize, you can crop your images, you can do all of these things to ensure that your images will enter one place. Now another thing that most times we don't use in design is SVGs. So if I'm exporting a design for a developer, I ensure I don't export in PNG, exporting SVG for them. Um, what SVG is going to help you do is it's going to make sure that the resolution on your image doesn't really drop. It's going to remain the same on any size. So let's say you used a 1200 by 1200 pixel picture and you're trying to, that's the size and all of that, you're trying to reduce it. Sometimes it's going to actually reduce in quality. But if you try to use SVG images, that's even when you're exporting and all of that, no matter how you reduce it, so it's still going to maintain the same size. Then you also need to pay attention to breakpoints. Now you should always know the 3 breakpoints, like have the minimum, that's the minimum. There are different breakpoints. You can even get the breakpoints up to, just like Susu said, you can get, depending on the company you're working for. If you decide to work for Apple, just know that you'll be doing all of those things, all of those tiny designs. So you should pay attention to um, as many breakpoints as possible. But the 3 key primary breakpoints that we know: the mobile, the tablet, and the desktop. So you need to think of all of these breakpoints for flexibility and all of that. Then you need to also consider cards. You need to consider cards. Now that's why it's also very good that you get to use auto layouts when you're making most of your cards or when you're trying to design cards, so that it's going to be very easy. So when I was trying to learn UI, I think Believe would be in the best position to actually talk about this part because she codes. So it will tell you something about Flexbox and all of those things to ensure that Believe, are you here? Everything is actually great. Then you need to the design of the rest fit that's designed. Then you Okay, sorry guys. So I said something about minimalist design. So when you're designing, your designs should be simple to use. Like your design should be simple from the onset. You don't get to start thinking of difficult talking about responsive design. Then the number seventh one is mobile first. So what this simply means is you should think of the smallest screen before you expand to the biggest screen. So and for this particular case, that's actually what is going to save you most times, because if you're able to think of how it's going to be when it's small, how it's going to be when it's big, it's not going to be difficult, especially when you're designing a website. You just know that if you're able to figure out um when it's small and how it's going to be, you will just know when it's big, this is how it's also going to be. Now you also need to prioritize the contents and hide the ones that are not needed. So the first thing to even figure out when you talk about responsive design is to figure out your nav bar, how you're going to do your nav bar. So designing a SaaS application. Yeah, mostly SaaS application that has a dashboard. So it's mostly a web app. Can you hear me now? Hello, if you can hear me now, just let me know. Okay, it's better. All right, sorry for that. So where did you hear last?
Mobile first design
Okay, so
application.
okay, mobile first design apple. So I'm trying to explain that be able to figure out the smaller version of your design, then it will be easy to think of the bigger version. So most times what I do is, if I'm designing for websites, the first thing I do is that after sketching, after you sketch your the designs that you want to make, after sketching you already know where it's going to be. The next thing I try to figure out is how mobile is going to be. So that one of the most difficult, is it difficult, so it was recently that I even got to learn all of those things. For instance, I work for a SaaS company that what we do is like a content management platform. We help to manage people's, so you can share your contacts and do all of those things with just a card. And we had to redesign our whole platform, and it's a web app. Now for the web app, we have different sections. I don't know how I'm going to show it. Our For the dashboard, our left nav bar, or our side nav, has two versions or two sections. Section with just icons, and then the second nav bar with icons and some form of consign. And then you know how to figure out that. So currently we have like a okay. So for the top nav bar, we had to consider. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you,
Oh,
Buna.
yeah, sorry about that. So for the top nav bar, the way we had to, I know that it's very easy. It's very difficult now to be able to visualize what I'm even trying to explain, because there's no picture and I can't really show. Okay, So let me just show it. Let me show what I'm trying to explain. So I'm just going to open it, and so this is what I meant by, so figuring out how to uh figuring out how, because we had top, like I said, we had top side nav, we had like two. So what we needed to do was to ensure that everything is captured in the mobile view. So when people are using our mobile view, they will get to use it very well. So the what we now came up with is, so you know that normally when you have a nav bar on any website, the first thing you do is you always get to look for an hamburger icon, and that hamburger icon is what is going to house those menus, and then that's mostly it. But for this case, because we have this is our main this is another nav bar. Now, even under this nav bar, you can see that we still have more. We have like 20, we have like more under this particular platform, about how you're going to ensure that all the things you put there, especially if it's not something that's very simple, by the time you now start thinking how you're going to use, how you're going to now put all of those things that you've seen or all of those things that you've designed to ensure that they all enter one part, it's actually very difficult, and you just have to think it out. So that's what I was trying to explain about um you first of all thinking about the mobile. So imagine you thought about the mobile first. It will be even easier for you to do what you want to do, to design anything you want to design before moving further. So now the next thing you get to check is you have to now prioritize, you have to now ensure that there's a large area for your buttons. So if you're trying to design, you get to say, okay, your buttons, ensure that the buttons that you're designing. Now, one major issue I used to have with people, um, most times designers, it's when they get to design buttons, you know that when you're designing buttons, your mobile buttons would actually be different from your web buttons. So you need to actually keep large clickable areas for buttons, so that there will be enough white space, there will be enough space between links, between buttons, and people don't get to click the wrong ones. Now the last one is you have to research about your competitors and industry experts. Now, this is not something that is new to you. It's not new when we talk about research, research, research. We'll tell you that always try to research your competitors, not just research their mobile view, or their research everything about your competitors and know where they place things. Because according to a particular law in UX, will tell you that because users spend more time in other people's platform, it's actually the same mindset that they bring into your website. So if I come to your website, I want to be able to see certain things arranged the way that this other website is it's being done. So you need to always research about your competitors and all of that to be able to get what you want to get from them. Okay, so the next we are now going to look at is there are different languages, or there are different things that when you talk about responsive design, you need to actually consider. We've talked about breakpoints, we've talked about the visual parts. Now we'll talk about fluid grid system. So I want to throw this question to the house: what is a fluid grid system? Because I know that during your beginners level, if you did Codecamp, you all know what the different types of grid system. You have fixed, you have fluid, and all of that. So what's fluid grid system? Please, I don't want Susu to answer this question now. Any other person aside from Susu? we have the fixed grid system and we have the fluid grid system. What is the fluid grid system? Any person aside Susu? Okay, Victory. Many other person. Okay, so it's only Victory that have that responded. Guys, we need to actually think about this particular thing because it's no longer interesting that we are intermediate and want to 7 and if it's not Susu, it's if it's not Susu, it's Victory. Let's respond. All right, so I'll just continue now. So for grid systems as designers, we know that grid system is what we use to build our designs. We use it to arrange information, and we also use it to make sure that our designs are consistent across board, especially for alignment. When you want to start doing alignment and all of that, then if you have to use different columns on your designs, you get to use the grid system to arrange these columns and all of that. Now, one thing is very simple when you talk about the grid system, which is every element must occupy the same percentage of space. If you're using the grid system, whether they are big or small, they have a particular percentage of space. I think, yeah, we have the fluid grid system and we have the fixed grid system. Now, for the fixed, the one that I think okay, so if you're trying to design a form system, let's say you're designing a form on a mobile screen, and you want to now repeat that kind of form on a website, if you use the fixed version, you just get to carry that form as it is and put it on the center of your website, and you've actually designed the screen. Now, for the fluid version, the fluid design or the fluid layout is this one that anyhow you do it, it will fit the particular container that you're putting it to as far as it reaches the breakpoint that you set. Now, another terminology that you would always be hearing is media queries. So, I would like Believe to actually tell us about media queries because this is a code. Okay, so we'll get to continue. So, what are media queries? Media queries are mostly filters that you can use to actually detect the browsing you can use to detect a device dimension, and you get to use it to make sure that your own design is appropriate regardless of the screen you're trying to do.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that you should tell us about media queries in responsive design.
Okay, media queries is just a kind of code in CSS where you use, you can use HTML to make your design or your code responsive. So if you use a media query code in your CSS to fit, like to make it responsive, there's a particular way you're going to fix it, and you're going to code it out, and we'll make that website, we'll make that website responsive for both the mobile version, the tablet version, and the web version.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that. So, is there any question?
Please, do we have any question, please?
Not for me.
All right, thank you. Okay, what I said, right? Victory.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, media query is a code in CSS, not in mobile design. So it's a code in CSS that you could use. You could use at media query. You size a particular screen based on a particular responsiveness, or probably the mobile version of the design or the code you are trying to code out. Okay, for instance, you're given a design and you're a developer, and you want to make, and you're given a responsive design as a UI developer, and you want to make that design responsive on the code aspect. So we use media query in CSS to fit in that particular, to code that particular website to fit in both the mobile version of that mobile version, the tablet version, and the website version, just like what we talked about in design, sorry. So in design, you design them differently, but in coding, we have a particular code that we could use, and those things are going to, can I say, it's going to be like linked together. Like you're going to use a particular code, and this is going to, and your website is going to be responsive in both screens. Yeah, you understand now? All right, thank you.
Oh, okay. So now you'll be asking, why do you need to? So I've come to realize that most times people get to ask questions about, do I need to learn how to code to be able to be a good UI UX designer? So at this point, there are some things, or there are some things you'll not get to understand if you don't know this part of it. So I'm sharing a link right on the group chat. It's actually going to help you to understand most of this concept, because even when we start doing auto layout in Figma, you know that I've been asked a particular question, so I'm going to also throw it in the house for all of you to be able to give me response for that. If you want to design, let's say for instance you're designing a full website, a full-blown website, and for each of these website screens, let's take it that on your landing page you included about us, contact us, you included all of these things, right? And you're designing it, you know that you have to design the mobile responsiveness for all of them. Like if you have 10 pages, you design the mobile responsiveness. So for those of you that have been designing website for a while, how do you design all of these things one after the other, or how do you do your process? So I want to hear from you before I tell you how I do mine. Okay.
Hello.
Did you get it?
Okay, I didn't really get the question.
Okay, so the question, I'm going to repeat it again. You are designing for a website, and let's say it has 10 screens. It has 10 screens and a website, and you have about those all of those sections. Calculating all of them together, it's 10 screens. How do you go about your responsiveness? Is it that you design them one after the other, or you take your website, duplicate it, and just reduce and just close it, and it turns responsive? So did you not get the question? So I'm trying to know how you do your own responsive design, how you come about your own mobile view. Okay, mobile view in any websites you design.
Okay, if I get the question right, whenever I want to design a mobile view or maybe any website, make it responsive on all devices, all I do is I try to, okay, my design system matters a lot, my topography and all. So I basically focus on the topography first because it has to do with the text. So I try to make the text, I try to work on the text that suits the device I'm working on. If it's mobile, I try to like create a design system that suits the for mobile, for tablet and for desktop. Though I've never designed for tablet before, just mobile app and the desktop devices. Okay, all I do is, like I said, I just get the text. I think my text work for me. I don't have to duplicate each of the screens. So all I do is I just get my text sizes for each of my, okay, is it for the title? Is it for the regular text? Any of the text at all. So I try to get each of their fixed text sizes that suit the particular screen. I don't know if I answered correctly, but I think this is what I believe you asked.
Okay, so I you just said something that you don't get to design for each screen. Ah, that means you don't have a team lead that you would have to design. There
Okay,
is no
no, I
design.
didn't say that. I said I whenever I design for basically design, I design for mobile and for web application. I've never had to design. Okay, I've designed for is it tablet just once? So most times I design for mobile and desktop.
Oh, okay. So my particular question is, even if you're design, how do you design it? Is it that so I'm trying to reason, when you have 100 screens, for instance, you have 100 web pages, which I know is not possible, but let's just exaggerate the figure, and you're done designing the 100 web pages. Is it that you come back to start designing the mobile view one after the other, or there is an automated process that you use?
Okay, so I want to understand. Is it like when you've designed the desktop view?
Okay, so I think this is the point where I get to
Can I talk
share my
now?
screen. Okay, Ola, you want to say something?
Okay, can
Well,
I help?
if I get okay, uh, if I get the question right now, I think what I do somehow what I do is I use auto layout, and I think I use constraint also to if I like expand the text will expand. If I shrink it, like I set it in the auto layout, and so I set it in constraint. So whenever I strength the auto layout, so it takes the like I'll set it in different views, even for mobile. So I'll set it the way I want it to be for desktop and for tab view also. So I use the constraint aspect like to do it more. That I guess.
Okay, so for those of you that can't hear him, let me just say what he said, if you can hear me. So he said when he's designing, he uses constraint and auto layout. So Susan, this is what I was trying to ask you. So now this is website. Let's say, for instance, this is our website. This is our let me reduce this. This is our mobile app 375. 375. I know that this is iPhone. One of the iPhone. Okay, it's not 375. There's no need cramming the this. Let me just pick one. Okay, is it though? So this is what I was trying to ask. Now this is a website. This is from screen. This is a website. This is a mobile view of the website. That's iPhone 14 view of the same website. This website is okay. This is not the website. So this is 140. Okay. So that is our website. This is our mobile view. So I'm asking, is it that when you're designing, you do it like this? You design and you will now have to do the mobile view of this. So when you get to do the mobile view of this, you know what you're going to do, right? You will get to start adjusting all of these things manually. We have the same content. This is the first content, this is the second content. The only difference is how to reduce it. Or when you design, you just ensure that these two are together, and then you reduce it like this, and it reduces till it fits in your break point that you set. That's the question I asked. So and Ola have said how he does his own, that he uses break point and all of that.
Okay, okay, I think I understand the question now. Okay, for me, I don't reduce the device. All I do is I just like bring the particular device I'm working on. Then of course, all my content are going to be like free container, going to be on Octo layer. So it's going to be easy for me to easily adjust each of those content. Maybe copy from this particular device and just like use my just adjust it to the arrow. I think, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's the question I was trying to ask. So is there another person that does it to yours? Any person that does it differently from what, okay, Gordon, you design separately by adjusting my frame and object size. Okay. Any other person? Um how do you do it, Victory? We design them separately too. Okay, so when next we meet in our next class, we are actually going to I'm actually going to walk you through how to use breakpoints, how to use auto layout, how to use. You've not done. I've not had to do one. Okay, you guys are working in good places, or okay, or you're doing most times. So like I was saying, would I'll walk you through auto layout, I'll walk you through breakpoints, I'll walk you through constraints, and how you can use all of these things to simplify your process to make your work responsive. Okay. So we just have Ola that is using breakpoint and all of that to simplify his design process. So that's what we'll be doing in our next when next we meet. Is there any question? But before then, let me stop. Is there any question?
Not from me, no.
Okay.